you walk away, who is gonna stay? 'Cause I like to think the world is a better place. When the truth walks away, everybody stays. 'Cause the truth about the world is that crime does pay. So if you walk away, who is gonna stay? 'Cause I like to make the world be a better place. When the truth walks away, everybody stays. 'Cause the truth about the world is that crime does pay. So if you walk away, who is gonna stay? 'Cause I like to think the world is a better place. I like to leave the world as a better place. I like to think the world.
Picture on my wall, it reminds me that it's not so bad. It's not so bad. My tears don't cold, I'm wondering why I got out of bed at all. The morning rain clouds up my window, and I can't see it all. Even if I could, it'll all be great. But your picture on my wall, it reminds me that it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Dear Donald, I voted you in, why aren't you responding? Can you see me from your tower, man? I'm down here at the bottom. I sent a million tweets in autumn and I'm sure you got them. There probably is a problem cause your POTUS now or something. I know the Secret Service keeps disturbances from bothering. But anyways, fuck it, what's been up, man? How's your daughters? My girlfriend's pregnant too, I'm about to be a father. If I have a daughter, guess what I'ma call her? I'll name her Melania. I saw the bullying the media did to her and Baron. That was so disgusting, man. You seem like awesome parents. I know you probably hear this every day, but I'm your biggest fan. I got a Trump sign in my yard and bumper stickers on my van. I got a closet full of posters, MAGA heads and pictures, man. I love how you own Rubio and Jeff, that shit was fat. Anyways, I hope you get this, man. Hit me back just to chat. Truly yours, the only one who cherished you. It's white America.
Tears don't cold, I'm wondering why I got out of bed at all. The morning rain clouds up my window, and I can't see it all. Even if I could, it'll all be great. But your picture on my wall, it reminds me that it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Dear Don, you still ain't called or wrote us. I hope you know this, I ain't mad. I just think it's fucked up you ignore your voters. Remember when we talked outside your rally about jobs in Lafayette? You even signed an autograph on a MAGA hat for my little brother, man. He's only 6 years old. He waited in the blistering cold for you for hours. That's how much you give him hope. Our life is pretty shitty, man, and you're his fucking idol. The working class whites out here are struggling for survival. I ain't that man though, I just don't like being lied to. Remember when we met in Denver? You said if I vote for you, you'd have my back. See, I'm like you in a way, don't like politicians either. All they do is cheat us, man, we really need a leader. That's why I could relate to your debates and all your speeches. Jobs are overseas now where production is the cheapest, and I don't really got shit else, so that shit helps when I'm depressed. I even got a tattoo saying MAGA on my chest. And twice I almost got beat up by guys who called me Nazi. I just want a future for our kids, why would they try to stop me? See, everything you said is real and I respect you cause you told it. My girl said you're just a show and won't trust you for a moment, but she don't know you like me, Donald. Bet my life that she's mistaken. The way you hug those people on your stage, you wasn't faking. You gotta call me, man, I'll be the biggest supporter you'll ever lose if you keep up this barrier. Sincerely yours, white America.
Tears don't cold, I'm wondering why I got out of bed at all. The morning rain clouds up my window, and I can't see it all. Even if I could, it'll all be great. But your picture on my wall, it reminds me that it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Dear mister, I don't give a shit about my base. You literally broke every single promise that you gave. I just saw it on the news, even the wall has been discarded. It was just a metaphor. Do you think we are retarded? Was my girlfriend right after all? Are you just another hooker? Cause it sure looks like you getting bossed around by Kushner. Who the fuck is this guy anyway? I didn't vote for him. First you said you're for the people, giving power back to them. Then you starting shit with Syria, launching missile strikes. And I see you in the room surrounded by a bunch of kikes. Remember the guys who called me Nazi? I was forced to fight. Guess what? I'm a Nazi now. I think those Nazis, they were right. I talked to them on Twitter and they brought me to the light. You no longer have a voice up in this country if you're white. I loved you, Trump, and we'll still make this nation great again. In fact, I wanna thank you for starting my awakening. Your campaign pushed whites back together as a group. and made us see the system is completely owned by Jews who kill us with immigration and degenerate our youth. I can't believe 2 years ago I used to laugh at David Duke. This was our last try voting, now it's about survival, and it's parasites like you who force us into voting with our rifle. I tore all your pictures down and put one of Hitler up. P.S. Looking forward to the war, we'll fuck all you bitches up.
I've been fucking niggas since the fifth grade. Really ain't no difference if that nigga gay.
Blood satellite.
That's a hot shot of coffee to start a stream, isn't it?
Yeah, nice, buddy.
Have you heard that one? Did
Yeah,
you?
it's classic.
Man, I used to, when I was in Toronto, I was a menace.
He's a poor fella in prison still for that one.
He is still in prison, literally just for that, and also I think he had like some swastika regalia. But I mean, at this point, like, why can't you have it if you're in the country that made it?
Yeah, yeah.
All I did was buy domestic.
We get a fuck America. We can also get a fuck Germany once in a while, you know.
Yeah.
This is a certified
Dead nigger storage.
Did that come through? Oh, I didn't check the. Okay, good.
So look, I'm not in the chat. Somebody's saying Barry donated £500 to the show.
I was hoping you wouldn't see that.
Why? That's like only 240 kilos.
Okay, no, because Judas, everyone knows what Judas is. He knows what he represents. He tends to think in terms of beef and ligatures and hooves and things like that. So he's like 500 pounds of of sinew.
Yeah.
He comes in with a lot of like sinew and gristle. He's excited.
500 pounds of feathers or 500 pounds of stones. Yeah.
Which,
you know what I mean?
He thinks I'm going to take the feathers because he knows I'm a bit of a bougie guy. Joke's on you, I'm taking the stones because they're heavier.
But Barry, thank you. Buddy, King Baz. Thanks a lot, man.
Do you think he knows that this qualifies him now as the Peter Thiel of the Canadian dissident sphere?
He is. Yeah. We're gonna have a big investor event, and it's just gonna be people trying to court Barry's money.
And he loves it. He's in the room. He's just because that's what you do when you have money. Everyone's like, he's never going to give it unless he's really impressed. So, I don't know how many people do this. I heard that's what Peter Thiel does, and we're no friends of Peter Thiel of the show. But I would imagine that at this stage in the game, you just show up to parties and people give you stuff. Like if I was a gay man, then you go to these parties and there's just a room full of holes, right? But
how many people just try to do like card tricks or like impressive, like they try to juggle for him, or like, check this out, Pete, I can do a 3 backflips.
I would love that.
Yeah,
I would love that. Everyone's like, "Oh, do you want some cocaine? Do you want some fucking pills?" I'm like, "No, I want some skills. I want a talent show."
Yeah, can you stand on your fingers? Let's see.
Can you draw?
I'm a pretty good drawer. Yeah.
See, that's how I do my pitches when I'm. That's fucking blood like Shark Tank. It's like you draw hands.
This nigga draws hands.
Hands is the hardest part. No one can do hands. Fucking Yin mentioned again, Garfy baby. Wouldn't be so yeah, we got him. His comment here was treat the family to some whiskey and cigars. It'd be great if I took the money and didn't read his comments. Yeah, so we got some other comments getting to here. Morning, gentlemen and ladies. A lot of people don't know this, but we got around 30% listenership of women for the show, which is shockingly high.
It's surreal.
Based on the analytics I can get from Spotify.
Could just be because a lot of right wingers are gay.
They're gay and they're girls and they're trans. I know. I was thinking the same thing, but Spotify, if you have the free account, they don't do this with a paid account, but they do the penis inspection. You got to do that.
Right.
They won't let you listen to the Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah,
unless
they're not just going to let anybody in.
Yeah, and it's hard to do because if you've ever taken a passport photo or done it through like the government of Canada, you got to align your face perfectly. You know what I mean? Like it's hard just to angle it right. By the way, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got
Okay,
you.
good. Sorry, it gave me a notice that something's fucked up. So I'm talking about angling holes, because what I was going to say was that, with women, it's a mess down there. We've been taught by pornography that the average vagina, it's just the up and the down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But realistically, if you've been around, if you're not plugged in to the Zionist pornography complex, and you see what real women are like, not this idealized bullshit. They're sideways, they're crooked, they're zigzag, they're topsy-turvy. You know what I mean? You look down there, you don't know where you're going to get. It's a triangle.
Mhm.
It's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, they don't teach this stuff in school. Like what are you supposed to even do when you meet it in reality?
In reality, you give it the glad hand. You give it a firm handshake. That's what we were talking about this in the chat earlier, and I forget what caused this, but I think, I'm spiritually a boomer, but we were talking about, I think it's like meeting girls or something. And I would see like all these tweets about, oh no, you know what it was? It was someone saying, where do we meet girls? Oh, go to church. That's where you meet girls. If you're a young man, you must go to church to meet them.
Yeah.
And then people are reporting back saying that there's no single women in my church, because really that sounds like someone who's never been to church, or maybe they go to a cool one. I don't know. But when you go to mine, there's not a lot of, actually there are, now that I think about it,
Yeah.
but only on holidays.
John or somebody else had said, like, if your church does have a lot of hot young chicks, it's probably not a church you want to go to for spiritual reasons, which I kind of agree with. Like I think I probably have told you this before, but like I was getting laid a lot more in church than at school as a teenager. Like that's where not just the girls were, but where the loose girls was in church, which is part of the
Really?
reason I left the church. Cause it's like, you people are hypocrites. And I don't feel that way anymore, but that's how I felt when I was like 19. It's like, I've slept with all your daughters. Fuck off.
Really? Jesus Christ. I didn't even know this deep lore about you.
Oh,
I
yeah?
didn't know. You were slanging dick up and down the pews.
Well, you were a lot of the girls that I'm not going to name names. Just some of the guys that were in our flat.
Some of the girls, some of the guys.
You remember those? You remember those girls that came by? A lot of those girls were my friends from church that ended up just sleeping around with our guys in the flat. So, like, This
Wow.
is, yeah.
See, it's weird when you tell me this, because this is my life too. I was involved in this. I'm hearing it as a spectator. Man, you used to be so cool.
Damn, what happened to me?
What happened? What happened to us? That's what we're going to talk about this episode. We're going to get into an older episode of the show. But before we get to that, I felt it relevant to bring up some what we were talking about from last episode. Let me just pull up the screen here. So with Israel and Iran, we're not going to make a whole meal out of this, but I remember last episode we were saying, Iran's not going to do anything, right? They've gained a reputation of being able to be fucked with. Then it turns out they're throwing missiles.
Yeah.
Like it's some kind of thing to do.
This is what I was, because we're talking about what had happened back in the spring. And I said, everybody wants to say Iran never does anything until they do. And then when they do, then suddenly Iran is this horrible genocidal bully. And the minute they stop throwing missiles, it's going to be, oh, Iran, why are you hitting yourself? Oh, how come Iran's such a pussy? He never fights back.
But I need to go on the record and say I was incorrect about Iran. I expected something, but the thing they did was fairly impressive, and it's chef's kiss. However, just to explain my thinking, in the back of my mind, I've always got the Samson option, which they've never officially admitted, but they've never officially admitted that they have nuclear weapons. But everyone knows they have
an open
them.
secret. Yeah.
And also, they're one of the few countries that has not signed nuclear disarmament and deterrent. There's like an official group from the UN that says, will you pledge to try and reduce nukes? And like Israel's like the only one that said no. So it's like they want, of course they fucking have nukes. And then the Samson option, for those who don't know, is last ditch effort. If Israel feels that it's truly facing annihilation, it will just start throwing nukes in every direction, basically destroy the world. That's and that's supposed to be a known secret. It's kind of a known thing, even though it's not announced, which is to say, don't fuck with us because we'll take the rest of you down with us, which does sound like a very Jewish thing to do.
I gotta
frankly.
say though, somebody leaked, but look, who knows if it was real, but a document was being passed around that purported to show the destinations for those ICBMs when
Yeah, where they can
launched it.
reach too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, their reach on again, nobody. It's an open secret that they have them. No one really knows exactly what they have, but we think their reach is all the way into North America. The only place they can't hit is really Australia and South America, but they most of their targets are in Africa and the Middle East and Europe. They have a couple of targets in the U.S., no targets in Canada. Like they're going to hit Beijing. Cool. New Delhi. Awesome. Most of Europe. I mean, I could go either
I
way.
hate to say it. Are we
Africa,
Zionists
like,
now?
I'm not Zionist, but no, the point is we really should squeeze Israel and make them do it. It would be great.
This is a no-lose scenario for us. For
They're not gonna hit
Ontarians.
Canada.
They're gonna forget we're there. And so, it's gonna hit Canada, but it's only gonna hit BC. Weird, but okay. It's gonna spare Ontario.
And like 300 years of nuclear winter is just the price we pay for a Jew-free Earth. That's all right.
A lot of people forget when they say nuclear winter, right? You imagine, a Cyber Rose video or something, but I feel like I'm living in a nuclear winter now. And I think I'm
Like emotionally or what?
just things suck. I don't know if things can suck more, is what I'm saying. So if I just saw tanks covered in skulls rolling down the street, I don't know if that would affect me emotionally.
Yeah. That would
know
be
what I
cool.
mean?
That'd be like a nice day out if you saw skull tanks.
I'm too old to shed a single tear over anything, which isn't to say I wouldn't shed tears, but I wouldn't shed a single tear, like the, evocative tear that at the state of the world. I'll cry if, I lick an ice cream cone too hard and it falls on the ground. I'm fucking human. I'm not a fucking African, okay? It's a fucking. But as a white man, you should control yourself, of course. We get too excited about an ice cream cone. As a man, you're allowed that. You're allowed an ice cream cone. Especially these are the golden eras when you can really appreciate the flavor of vanilla. That's lost on a child. They don't get vanilla. You get vanilla later in life. You say, wow, chocolate's been a scam this whole time. Chocolate's fake. It's fucking fraudulent.
Chocolate ice cream? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude,
But not all chocolate. I'm not a fucking African. I'm not a fucking Chinese guy. But really though, we're really spinning our wheels. This is a bad episode so far.
We have got right here, man. Super chat $49.99 American dollars from Behold. Thanks, buddy. He says sup, gents.
Here's what I love about our donators. They don't gum up the works. They're not here flimming and flamming. They're not giving us a fucking speech saying where we're wrong with it. It's like, hey, what's up? Just pop in. I don't think I've ever seen this one where people pop in to give us money and then pop right out.
Yeah. They're not going to use the super chat to try to make you say some gay shit because they know you'll say it for free.
Yeah. I mean, we opened to the fucking Mr. Bond song. Like, what are they going to get me with? Oh, no, we're going to get him canceled. Like, I'm here actively trying to get canceled and no one's canceling me.
Yeah. You're going to open it up and say, like, this is our 300th and also our last episode. And it's not because we're quitting, but it's because we rolled Mr. Bond in the intro.
The era where that can be used against you might be gone.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think I honestly, and we'll get to this as we're doing a retrospective, it seems that a lot of the threats have cooled, at least in terms of discourse and free speech. Like, it does feel like you can get away with saying more things now.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not you should, whether or not it's funny anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, is it just screaming the N-word? You know what? That is still funny. Let me think of something that's not funny. You know what? There's not a single thing from 5 years ago that isn't still funny. I was going to say like fucking taping your eyes back or something. No, that still works.
These are classics.
What else? It's screaming in a tranny's face until they commit suicide. Nope, it works.
Yep.
It works on every level. It works in any language.
We were doing it initially because it was truly deeply funny. We weren't trying to hurt anybody. We're just trying to have some laughs. So it'll always be funny.
Yeah, that's what I look at some of the people in our space who are making money, Especially the ones who on this are. Let me just throw to this because I need to put this on screen right now before I get too far away from the Iran thing. Trump to decide on the U.S. role in conflict within 2 weeks. What the fuck does that even mean? You can't, like, they're already sending ships and planes and everything. You can't just say it's yes, no. You can't write in maybe.
He's sending like 3 carrier groups. He's got the tankers there. Earlier today, he said within 48 hours. Now he says within 2 weeks. He also has another comment. I think it was yesterday. He said, nobody knows what I'm going to do. Nobody knows what I'm going to do. Like, all right. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. It's like you look at this story, right? And then there's people online who are still defending this, who are still like, I trust him. I think I saw Greg Gutfeld on his show a clip saying like, forget everything Trump has ever done. He started by saying that. He started by saying, look, I know he's fucked up before, but let's pretend he didn't and go forward and say, I trust him now. I'm like, I've never heard someone say that. I've never heard a grown man say like, yes, he's a fucked up liar, but what if we just forget that? What if you can just do things? You can just forget things if you want. So, but there's people who are very excited about this and pushing this, and you have to think, well, you're getting paid to do this, right? And there's people who get into this because they want to get paid, who want to make a career out of it. You know who I fucking saw? Let me just, you know what? It was like fucking Milo Yiannopoulos. And I hate to defend, why is he not coming up here? Milo. I hate he's got his one name here. He was going up against Nick Fuentes. Let me see if I can find it here. And I'm going to paraphrase it just off the top of my head while I'm scrolling. But he was saying that, this is what Nick Fuentes will never understand. He burns bridges. He's not a doer. He's not a doer, and he doesn't like building bridges with doers. People like me, Bronze Age pervert, Peter Thiel. And he's just naming off all his new friends. His new gay Jewish friends, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm like, but that's what you do. That's your whole thing is you saw this as a career. You got into this to try and make money, which is wild to me. Because at a certain point, you just become a traitor to yourself and to everyone else. Look, I didn't get into this to make money. I got into this to have a big dick, giant smooth balls, and to be right. And I've been
there
doing
it
that.
is. There's Jay Ford, super chat, 20 USD, say something gay. That was it. You did it.
There's nothing gay about any of those things.
Big, smooth balls. I'm here to shave my balls.
No, it's just spheres.
Yeah?
It's like perfect.
You were born that way? You ever seen a doctor?
It's just perfect. It's no muss, no fuss.
The balls of the future.
So Bill Wilson's also saying, Q speaks of this, I bet. Q's still going, by the way.
We missed another super chat. We have a bunch of super chats tonight. Somebody gave, who was that?
Yan,
$6.99. Hello from Banff. Hello, Yan. Banff looks nice. I wish I was there this time of year.
We were planning to go to Banff, and it was cheaper to go to France. Like you were taking a flight. Yeah. I mean, we're in Ontario. Like, we want to go to the interior of Canada. We want to see this great land. I've only been to a few places. Banff's a great place. Cheaper to fly to Europe. Just intra-Canadian flights are dog shit. But I still want to go. It would cost $900 to fly from where I am to Ottawa within the same province.
Damn.
They don't want Canadians getting around. They don't want...
You just drive. Just fucking drive. We drove to Ottawa last summer. It wasn't even that
okay,
bad.
well, driving to Ottawa... I know where you're at. Driving to Ottawa is not hard. It was a joke. Look, you're acting like I don't drive. He knows I have a car. It's absolutely right. He's trying to fuck with me. He's trying to...
drives.
Because the other thing here, I put it up on the X earlier. Ooh, I can reach up to 100,000 more users now.
Whoa! Press the button. Do it.
I promoted some of the dumbest shit just as
when you people donate money to him, this is what he's doing. He's using $500 right on the table immediately. He's gonna take the £500. He's gonna promote whatever the latest tweet was.
And you know what's great? the targeting on X is really good if you want to promote, because you can target based on geography and interest and stuff, or you can target based on lookalike audiences,
Yeah.
which is rare. You can do that in Google and elsewhere, but you can only target people who look like the followers of whatever account you put in. So if you just want to get like Tucker Carlson fans, you just tag Tucker Carlson. Yeah, send this tweet to people who follow him. It's
kinda
that
spooky.
easy. It's that funny. So you can you can fuck with people. I haven't seen it done really, because I guess it costs money, but it's really intuitive the way you can do that. All right.
Nice.
So they don't want dimes to spread the word. Banff, isn't that the park that was set on fire by some stupid women? Was that what happened? There's been a few fires.
We're gonna go with that. Yeah.
Bill Wilson, of course, says everything Dime says is gay. You know, I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to, is what one could say I'm gay for pay because I'm in a good mood because I'm getting paid. So I'll allow.
And Mark also sent you $20. Our very own Mark. Love you guys. It's priced in.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah.
Discusses this.
Deleuze discusses this. I've read Deleuze. He does not discuss this, but he knows that.
Yeah.
It's become a bit of a meme to read these very esoteric books and just lie about what's in them. That's what I've just started to do. You can listen to us read Spinal Catastrophism, myself and Prudentialist, or you can listen to me bullshit about what's in it, and it's gonna balance out. It's gonna be the same effect.
The great thing about bullshitting about spinal catastrophism is most of the things that you're going to make up on the spot are equally or less insane than what's in the book. And me even saying that is one of those cases. Like it's
Oh, sorry. I throw an anonymous Adonis here. Samson option does sound like a new Subway sandwich.
yeah, dude.
I would jot that one down. There's a sketch in there. I don't know where. I can see the shape of a sketch. So Anthony Shemin says episode 1. I don't think there is even an episode 1. I think I deleted episode 1. I think it starts at episode 2. Because some of them
bad audio for a long time.
I think the first episode was just borderline unlistenable.
Did it? And like we had like 5 people on it too. It was like all of our whole group of friends was there.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Well, I'll describe it more when we get to it a bit later. But yeah, there used to be several people on the show before we. I won't say we separated the wheat from the chaff. The chaff just up and left, grabbed its suitcase, grabbed its Groucho Marx glasses, and vamoosed. But I'm happy it happened that way. Let's see here. I'm making sure I haven't missed any more super chats. Got the hello from Bam. There's one down here I think I missed. No, I think that's it. Okay. If anyone wants to send any super chats or say anything else funny, let me know. Sex Freakman says the marketplace of ideas. Why would you choose the less cool version of the book just because it's real? It's not real. You're not real.
Damn,
this is the type of commentary I'm looking for. Bill Wilson says only thing scarier than a woman driver or an Asian driver is a dimes driver. This is what I was saying at the top. Like I was a menace in Toronto when I was deep into the whiskey. So I'd be drinking, blasting Mr. Bond out the open windows, driving down downtown Toronto every single day. I don't know, just looking for a fight, looking for just being a maniac. So I've got it, and there's no reason. Now I look back on it and I laugh. I laugh and I say I should do that again.
Retirement.
Sex treatment. I like this. We can improve old books even more by pretending they're better. Yeah. See, I think the evolution from the death of the author is the Frankensteining of the author, which is just, I'm going to take your arm off. I'm going to put another arm on there.
Cool.
You want a new scalp? I don't like your haircut. How about a new top of the head?
Mm-hmm.
I think Deleuze deserves that. A lot of these people deserve that.
Yeah.
You should do that with people who are still living. I think just start lying about what Curtis Yarvin writes about.
Yeah, yeah. Take Marx's gonads and put them on Deleuze.
Have we tried that yet? Strategically? Have we just lied about what people say just in their writing?
I think that's the reason that we don't make a lot of money. I mean, except for tonight, we made a lot of money tonight, but typically we don't, and it's because we don't. We're not smart enough to just lie about everything constantly.
That's true. We're going to get to that in a second when we start looking at the summaries of the old episodes. I just wanted to address some of these comments. These people couldn't be in the chat, but wanted to say something. Antelope Hill Publishing saying, nice job, guys. Always appreciated. We love Antelope Hill. We've covered several of their books, along with Imperium Press as well. Felix Fairmont says, correct people at work for improper racial profiling. We need higher expectations from our guys. A Lakota, not as tall as a Cheyenne, not as fine featured as the Crow. Mike of Paul, friend of the show, can we get an E-Celeb boxing story arc in the show? Dimes versus King Salmonfish would be a good title fight. You know, you'd be surprised, I'm sure, that this is something we've discussed in the past. Because I dig what those active clubs are up to. I like when I see these like, independent boxing matches and stuff. Then you start to get a headache thinking, oh my God, I got to rent an octagon. Where do you rent an octagon?
And then
Have
you
to
rent
buy
it,
one?
but it was a Chinese octagon and it's too small and there's no take backsies.
It's too small and it's a square.
Yeah.
It's too small. It's a two triangles stuck together. Trapezoid.
It's a square inside another square. Oh, 8 sides. I count them. 8 sides. No, you son of a bitch.
Oh, cool. Fucking
These are concentric squares. Fuck.
You could meet me in the square trapezoid. But then you start thinking, look, I mean, how can we get this within budget? And I'm sort of thinking, well, what if we just fought in a parking lot? So that's been really, but invest in the cameras.
Yeah.
So we get a nice rig, but now we're getting all our guys, we're meeting in parking lots. We're meeting in the subways. We're meeting in the Pizza Huts. And we're just having a real go of it.
Somebody would actually get hurt if Salmonfish was involved, though, because he's genuinely a schizophrenic.
You don't know what he's capable of.
Yeah, he would actually probably hurt somebody or himself. So
He's going to show up with a pylon. You're thinking, what's in that pylon? This guy, Liquid Swan, friend of the show, his name's cat Hard R. There's one comment I got to here. Okay. Itchy Dog says, I have a very important and very intelligent question. Which book do you think is the most important for our guys to read? Also, which are your personal favorites? Now, I would put that to you as well, because we've been covering books for so long on this show, and you've heard me talk about them, but then you went and you started reading some of them yourself. I recall you were reading War of the Flea, and I was going to ask you to start. Is there any books that we've covered or you've read in the past little while that really stuck out to you?
I'm not going to pretend to. I'm not enough of a reader to prescribe anything, but for me personally, I am a War of the Flea guy. Yeah, just because I am personally fascinated by guerrilla warfare. So that's just me. That doesn't have to be everybody. There's jazz.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't have the music on, so I know people are missing the music. People are wondering where that's at.
You're not allowed to say Bible, and you're not allowed to say Mein Kampf.
Shit.
Not allowed to say it. See, I was gonna say one. No, I can't say it. Can I say the other one? No, I can't say it. No, okay. You're gonna get beat up if you say that.
Because you have to go back to the very beginning. I like to think of the ones that I bring up a lot, because there's ones that I really, really liked reading, but then there's the ones that I find myself talking about a lot. Like I know Society of Mind by Marvin Minsky. I bring that up a lot. John Mearsheimer's Tragedy of Great Power Politics. I bring that up a lot. I find myself talking about information theory. There's a book by James Gleick called The Information that's really good. Yeah, so there's ones like that. But if it's a question of which one would I recommend to someone, that's a hard one. You know what? Like, when we were doing that arc on the pillars of white nationalist theory, so we had, for those who don't recall, we did White Power by George Lincoln Rockwell. We did Which Way Western Men by William Gailey Simpson. We did Silent Brotherhood, that was more biography. Fame of Dead Man's Deeds, which is about William Luther Pierce. We did Mein Kampf. We did For My Legionaries by Codreanu. We did My Life by Oswald Mosley. and My Awakening by David Duke. Shit, we did a lot of those. I think My Awakening by David Duke. I would of those, I would recommend that, but then I might also recommend that generally to people because it's written in a very approachable way, and a lot of these books really repeat themselves because they need to say, "Here's why liberalism sucks. Here's why democracy is good." You know that there's always these mid sections in the book where it's kind of just dissecting politics. I think he does as good a job as anyone, and it's written for a North American audience and with a North American perspective. So I think like if you had to give a book to someone like a young man to like wrap their head around some of these ideas, that might be it. If it's like the ones I found most interesting, it would be those ones I just said. But then like I love the stuff. Like I don't love Spinal Catastrophism. I don't love a lot of the Nick Land stuff. I don't love like some of the more interesting books I don't like. But then Charles Cochran, Christianity and Classical Culture, that shit, or Sex and Culture by J.D. Unwin. Like there's these books that kind of just unlock something in your mind and allow you to start thinking about things from a totally different perspective. This is a very long-winded answer, but I guess also War of the Flea. I like War of the Flea too. Okay, Sean Schaefer, $5 for my favorite gay sex update. Still waiting for part 2 of the buck breaking review. We need to check in on that guy. What Talib? What's his name? Nassim Talib?
Yeah.
I think.
Is
Yeah.
there a gay sex update with Nassim Talib?
Well, he's a gay man, so
Is he
just.
gay?
Oh my!
Is
my
he actually
goodness.
a gay? Look, I don't know who these. All I know is he's the Black Swan guy, right? Or is that somebody else?
The Black Swan. Oh, you know what? Yeah, no, that's Nassim Talib. That's shit. I just said Nassim Talib was the guy who did buck breaking. No, Nassim Talib did Black Swan. Who the fuck am I? Okay.
You're talking about the gay nigger.
Yeah.
I know the buck breaking guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Nassim Talib
Wait,
did buck
Nassim
breaking.
Talib is not only gay, but he wrote buck breaking. What? What?
Hey man, I sent him an email. He never got back to me. So make sure that ends up in his fucking mailbox. So when do you do the sequel to Buck Breaking? Fucking Tariq Nasheed. That's what I'm
There
thinking
you
of.
go.
Tariq Nasheed.
That's almost the same.
But it may very well be true that Nassim Talib was raped by a white man and turned black. Like he's made his persuasion.
Have you ever seen Nassim and Tariq in the same room?
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I'm thinking about it, I can't remember when I've seen more than one person in a room.
The thing about the 21st century is you rarely see more than one person in a room. There's not even a lot of rooms left, actually.
Like, really think about it. When's the last time you've seen two people in a room?
I know I'm not my wife. I see her every day. But
I'm
aside from
seeing
that,
her.
I could
She's
name-
still one person in a room,
Yeah. Well, there's
right?
me.
Then
As long as there's
but-
a mirror, I can see myself too.
yeah. But then your wife plus one. Like I can't think of one. It took us 300 episodes, but that might be the dumbest thing I've ever said.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. What did you see two people? I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, Anthony Shim, I didn't know he's actually gay. Yeah, for Tariq Nasheed, to me, I'm just intuiting that because he did an entire documentary, and he speaks in very vivid, lurid detail about the process of the sexual domination of a black man by a white man. And, I think you need to be gay to make a documentary about that or talk about it for so long.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I saw something like that recently. What was it? Oh yeah, there was this saw this fucking little documentary. I watch these e-celeb documentaries from time to time. It was by this guy named Turkey Tom, and it was about some kind of you know who it was about? Those comics. The one I'm thinking of is where it has like the guys like that fucking sucks actually, and it says literal coolest thing ever. You remember that little like reaction comic?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who made that, he made a whole bunch of these comics. He's a leftist, apparently. And he's also out of his mind and suicide baits all the time. And so I was watching this little documentary on him. And, I forget where I was going with this. Where was I going with this? I was watching this documentary. How did I start talking about this? Anyway,
We were talking about Nassim Talib Nasheed.
yeah. Anyway, I gotta get some of these chats. Bloody hell with this jazz shite. AA don't reply. He never does. I think. Oh yeah, academic agent. He hates jazz.
Oh,
That's the whole thing. He's trying to blame jazz on black people and saying. My thing is, I'd never surrender any of this stuff to black people. I say white people invented hip hop. I say they invented chitlins. They invent all the shit. Jazz. I don't care. We did it. Dimes. What do you want to spend your time debating with it? I actually don't spend my time at all. It's just, oh, did you know black people invented this? Nope. We did. I did. I invented hip hop. Fuck you. That's not even a debate. I walk away after I say that. You can do that too. You have that power. If you leave the stream with one thing, I want people to understand that they can just lie. They can just lie and say things.
That's
and
right.
then live life. What were you about to say? I cut you off there.
I was going to say that I had just checked and my patent on collard greens doesn't expire for another 10 or 15 years.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Nasheed claimed to have read 2,000 books to support the buck breaking thesis.
2,000 books don't even exist. There aren't even that many books. Idiot.
There's no 2,000 books with a black person in them. What are you smoking besides marijuana?
It turns out the author of all 2,000 books was Neil Gaiman.
Neil
Gaiman.
I love there's a guy just named Neil Gaiman.
The concept of like this really in-depth and autistic science fiction fantasy franchise with like thousands of books. He read all of them, and that's his entire source.
If you tell people you've cited 2,000 books, no one's going to fact check you on that.
Yeah.
If you look at the reading list for Blood Satellite, and that's just the books we covered on this show, it's around 300 books. Like just, I think it's like 280 or something like that. Because some episodes we've actually covered more than one. So that's a lot. That's more than anyone needs to do. And that covers a huge breadth of information. So like 2,000 books on just like, you know what? There probably is 2,000 books on interracial gay rape, but they would be like ebooks.
Yeah.
Because we're thinking library books. No, there's quote unquote books on, the Amazon Create Space.
Yeah.
He's just reading fucking, what's that manga, but it's like gay? Yoi?
Yoy.
Yoi.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
The Japanese did us a favor by naming all their art after the sound you make when you see it. Where's your section? Wiggles me. Have you ever seen two books in the same room? Honestly, like you're thinking, yes, this is like, how do you get to Shell Beach from Dark City? Like, oh yeah, I've seen two books in this room. Can you name them? Yeah, honestly, it was Mein Kampf and
The Bible.
it's the damnedest thing. Like I know I should know. Okay, so yeah, we're done talking about Iran.
that was the Iran section. That was a combined Iran and gay sex update.
Well, I'm going to get back to H-Dog. I'm probably going to find a specific book. CG Constantine says, why Vancouver is gay. I'm not sure that it is. What's the consensus on that? I think Vancouver is fine. I think it's
pretty gay.
It's like Chinese, but you think everything's gay. Like everything is kind of
like Canada is pretty. Most metros in Canada are quite gay. Like in terms of just the number of rainbow flags and like weird troons walking around. And Vancouver's, I would think, is the most gay.
Methnostatist, who you've had a severe row with, but
yeah,
he likes you.
Yeah,
he wants to be let back in the chat
for like a Zoomer, for like a weird.
I'm gonna get him back in. He's a tying Jews to a chair and forcing him to listen to Kanye West's hit single "Nigga Heil Hitler" until he likes it. Can I just say something about that song? I was told that was going to be the song of the summer. You remember that?
Yeah.
Came out not long ago. It's July, niggas. It's actually June,
Yeah.
but it's June getting into July. I'm not hearing this song at all.
It's just not that good.
Like, where is it?
It's not that good.
It's
It's
supposed to be
alright.
blasting from the speakers. I think everyone forgot about this song.
It's not, and the funny thing is now, maybe that's a marketing thing, but he can be like, oh, the reason people aren't playing it is because it's got the N word in it. No, you're black, you're allowed. So the reason people aren't playing it is because it's not the
That'd be so fucking Kanye West said the reason like an radio plays because I said the N word in it.
Yeah.
Not none of the Hitler stuff. Kanye West got canceled for saying the N word. Here's a good Anthony Chimman. Like, there isn't a song right now, right? Like, we're in the summer. What is there usually is a song, even if you don't like it. But I'm like, there's kind of, I remember when Despacito came out, that was a summer song, right?
That must have been
You couldn't have, I don't think it was 10 years ago.
Despacito.
You know what? Maybe
I
actually.
think it was 10 years ago.
That's
This
how,
has been memed so hard.
yeah. But like, yeah, there's nothing going on. I think Israel like took all the energy from it.
Yeah, maybe.
So, you know, here's T.R. Hudson, friend of the show as well. I just want to get to this. It says, okay, cool. Let's talk about the Challenger space shuttle disaster for a moment. Ignoring the obvious, that is that the Challenger disaster was a hoax to cover up our degraded space program and allow us to ramp down our celestial ambitions due to a dearth of black girl magic.
Yeah.
Sounds like maybe a joke. He continues.
No, I believe this. I'm on this shit.
Here to be referred as BGM, Black Girl Magic, we are left to wonder who benefits from the disaster. If we accept the official story, spurious at best, that the entire crew died in the explosion, we have to ask who benefited from their deaths. There's only one answer. Did you know that Cape Canaveral sits at the crossroads of several major bird migration paths? When the Kennedy Space Center was built, proper bird considerations were not taken. By shutting down operations or at least slowing them, our avian friends had crippled humanity's best chance of reaching the stars. Also, they could head north and south as they pleased. I don't blame them. It's the fucking birds. If some hyped up dolphin tried to stop me from vacationing in the Caribbean in order to fulfill their rape-fueled dreams, I'd stop them just as severely. Birds have been around for a long time. They probably evolved from dinosaurs if mainstream science is to be believed. Don't yell at me in the chat. That's T.R. Hudson. I don't want to hear any of this fucking bird scorn. As a paisan, you can appreciate their cold, calculating plans and their tactics. The Challenger was a message
From the birds.
for the birds.
From the birds.
I bet that was, honestly, there's,
All right.
memes aside, I bet there's something in there. Like, it starts off, I immediately agree with what he's
I
saying.
think the thing is about the Challenger disaster being a hoax and that the astronauts are actually still alive and that it was a way to land the program, to end the program, does actually make sense.
It wouldn't surprise me if birds were involved, but it was some kind of environmentalist thing. Like, we can't let people know how important these birds are.
Yeah. Have you ever just looked at a bird too? Birds are fucked up, man.
Can I ask you this? When's the last time you've seen a bird?
Well, I'm out in the greenhouse constantly. I'm always dealing with birds. I got birds in there. I'm fucking dude. Birds are the enemy.
What's your stance on birds? Give me hip to birds.
Birds are wild, dude. Even domesticated birds are wild in their own way. I got a chicken dying right now. I could put some diatomaceous earth and some apple cider vinegar in her there, and she's looking at me. Her comb is all bent over. It's sad to see, but at the end of the day, you're a fucking creature, dude.
So you're putting the apple cider vinegar into the chickens.
Well, you got to put it in the water, and that helps them clear out the hoo-ha or whatever they got. And then the diatomaceous earth is for the parasites and mites and shit.
It made it sound like you were injecting it like one would a brisket.
No, you just rubber with the dust, and you pour the cider in the water.
So Vulpus Persona, girls can't even decide anymore what type of jeans to wear season to season. I've noticed that women have gone bonkers with jeans. Have you been out in the world? They're wearing Jinko jeans now. They're massive.
I've seen something like that. Yeah, like straight. Essentially, I haven't seen like full on Jinko, but I've seen a lot of women wearing like straight leg jeans. Like they're the same diameter at the ankle as they are at the ass, which is bizarre. I mean, it wasn't bizarre in like 1996, but now it's a little weird.
I don't think women have been as out of pocket as they've been right now at any point in history.
We say that.
Just totally cut you off. Just fucking got Judas. Getting some new fans. Been listening for 6 months, working our way through the backlog. A lot of people have been saying that. Working through the Patreon,
It
the
sucks.
Gumroad.
Don't do it.
There's one really interesting comment I saw here. Did I pass by it? I hope, yeah. So I liked this one. This was an interesting one. In our niche sphere of content goblins, who is most likely to be remembered in 100 years? I'd be curious what you would say about that.
Salmon fish.
Who?
Salmon fish.
King Salmon Fish.
King
Yes.
salmon fish. Yeah.
Look, he's not taking the question seriously, guys. He
I'm
hasn't
thinking.
thought.
I'm stalling because I can't.
Okay, no, it's actually
you're trying to king make when you say something like that. I don't actually know off the top of my head. Can I say my immediate reaction? Can I be honest with you? My immediate reaction is nobody in our whole sphere will be remembered, and nobody in any other sphere will be remembered because none of us in the social media space are consequential enough for our voices to make it through the cataclysm that the next 50 years is going to be.
So like the star of this story is the cataclysm.
The cataclysm is what people are going to remember. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to overthink the question, but just because it's an interesting question, right? And people can put their suggestions in the chat here. I'd love to hear what people say. But off the top of my head, it depends on what you mean by niche sphere of content goblins. Is it just our space? How far does that border go out? There's some people I'm going to say that I'm sure people will find surprising. Like, does Nick Land count as quote unquote our sphere? Whether or not you like Nick Land, I think there's a case to be made that Nick Land will be spoken of in 100 years in philosophy circles. But not off the tip of your tongue. It's not going to be like Shakespeare, but it depends what you mean by known. Like, will it be known in academia versus in the popular culture? Like, it's not going to be Elvis, but then you say, okay, if it's not Nick Land, does Sam Hyde count? I think there's a strong case to be made that Sam Hyde might. Again, maybe not the biggest name, but if you're looking back on 100 years ago in popular media, like, here's one thing about Sam Hyde that's interesting is that he doesn't really control his own memes. He's not a meme guy, and he's very sparing about what interviews he does. He doesn't do interviews, but that whole he can't keep getting away with it or superimposing his face on someone who just did a terrorist act, that has a life of its own. That's a true meme. And by meme, I mean like an idea that propagates as if it's an organism. Yeah. That's become almost bigger than him. So I think if you're looking back,
that could be textbook memetics in 100 years. Actually, the he can't keep getting away with it. It's probably that and Pepe are really at the top, I think.
Yeah, like no matter what you think about Sam Hyde, if you like his content, you don't like his content, maybe you think the latest episode of Extreme Peace relies a bit too much on game shows, which is a incredibly antiquated framing device.
We don't have to get into it. We don't have to get into it.
You might think that. I'm not saying that's what I think.
Somebody might say that.
You might think that. That would be like doing an infomercial skit. Like, that's not relevant. That's not interesting. What the fuck you do?
We're discussing it.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying someone might say that. But I'm also saying it's very funny. It's very good. But kinda. Sort of. But it's good. But right. But does he count? Is he in our space? I can give you a name of someone I think might get there, and you're not going to like it.
Okay.
Curtis Yarvin.
Well, he's not in our space. I agree with you.
Interesting.
I agree with you, but he's not in our space. If anything, he's NRX. But I don't think we're really only here's the thing. We would be defined in the same sphere as him by people who hate us. But in our sphere, we share very, very little with him, especially now that he's a darling of the establishment. So
I also think that Curtis Yarvin, what he's known for is, getting on these shows, and he's pitching monarchies, talking tech. I find his Urbit stuff the most interesting. I'm not on Urbit, but when I hear Urbit guys talk about it, it's just incomprehensible enough that it gets me curious. But he hasn't broken his idea yet. Thus far, he's really discussing older ideas and history. There's not one fascinating, novel thing that he's cracked open that he owns. And I think you need that. And he might very well get there. And I don't care if you like Curtis Yarvin or not. That's immaterial. Maybe it's Alexander Dugin. Like, is he in space? Not really, but like debatable, actually. Just off the top of my head, Bronze Age pervert. I say no, but someone that he's inspired, yes.
He's a literally who.
As in, to me, Bronze Age pervert, some people push back on this. He's popular. Yes, he's popular. Yes, he's sold.
He's not.
He's more. Not. He's more popular than a lot of people. But here's the thing:
Mirage.
There's actually, and I understand why people will find this, drama baiting. But I've read a fair amount of his stuff. There's not a single original idea. Not a single original idea that he's had his name to. If you read his nonfiction articles, he's very good at taking a very basic reductive idea and spending 6,000 words building on it and citing history. But if you strip all that away, that stuff that's just supposed to impress you like fireworks, there's not a single interesting fucking idea he's ever come up with. And I've read we covered his thesis on the show. So
he's a bad writer. He's not an intelligent person, and he's not actually popular. It's astroturfed. It's completely.
But here's the thing: I think someone he inspired could, because the mimetic value of, because you got to realize I'm looking at this completely unemotionally, and a lot of the people we would call great are only made great by their followers, oftentimes by their proteges.
BAP followers aren't great, though. BAP followers suck and are by definition weak, shitty people who can achieve nothing.
But here's like they're pretty good. They might very well carry this on in some other way, but I don't know that. I can't control that. That's hard to forecast.
I've never met or heard from a BAP follower who was like halfway toward becoming an actual person. Like, it's like saying what's the fucking the half nigger child abusing whoremonger from Romania. I can't remember his name. The sunglasses.
You're gonna have to be a bit more specific.
Fuck, there's so many of them. But he's like a PUA guy. All these, they're all the fucking same.
Dracula.
Dracula. It was fucking Dracula.
Oh no, you're talking about Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate. Thank you, Andrew Tate. Because you could say the same, like, yeah, but Andrew Tate's guys really love him and they carry it for, like, well, yeah, but you can say the same thing about Andrew Tate. Is he popular? I mean, he's promoted. He's paid for promotion. So is he genuinely popular with people that matter? No. He's popular with a bunch of people who are weak and pathetic, and they're driven by some odd psychotic bullshit.
Like, I don't see his. Here's the thing: when Andrew Tate goes away, there's going to be another Andrew Tate. That's a role that gets filled every few years by a new alpha male. Sometimes they're being ironic, sometimes they're not.
But it's because they're just recycling the same old shit, right?
That's what I'm saying.
We're saying the same thing about BAP, because BAP is just recycling other people's shit from between 20 and 50 years ago. He's just doing it on a longer period, and he's doing it with different material. Yeah. But it's the same garbage. There's going to be another BAP in 20 years. And he's probably going to be gay and Jewish, just like...
Yeah, but that's why I sound like, even if you like BAP, even if you don't like BAP, I'm saying I don't think it's interesting enough to matter. No. I think Curtis Yarvin could. Someone wrote here, Sargon. I honestly, I know we're probably joking, but that Sargon's popular. I'm like, I don't think so, honestly. I don't think he's... I like him fine enough. But I think you actually need to be crazier. I think you need to be more extreme. To be remarkable. I think you need to upset the status quo more. And this would be what I would say about BAP as well, is that if you actually listen to what he says, I made a comment the other day where I'm like, all these vitalist guys, I'm like, if you were really followers of his philosophy, you would rape, kill, and devour him. But you're not. Or BAP would be advocating more for violence or something, but he's not. Same thing with Sargon. I'm like, I think if you want to be more remarkable in the annals of political activism, I think you need to be a bit more extreme. You need to move the needle, and I don't think that's in his DNA. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a very smart guy. He's a talented guy. But I'm like, I don't think you have real political agitation. Yeah. Contrast that against someone like Martin Sellner. Maybe I could see it,
dude. Sellner's real. Like, Sellner is in the field acting, right?
Yeah.
Like, even Mishima, who I also hate for being a weird gay at least killed himself. But BAP won't even kill himself. He just goes to Thailand to fuck ladyboys. Like, he's not even doing anything. He's just writing Substack, and he's going to Asia to fuck teenagers.
Yeah.
So,
depending on how certain rumors shake out, maybe JF Garepi.
JF Garepi could be king, man. You know what? Part of this is, yeah, we didn't mention this. When you're saying in 100 years, there's an assumption that we're all agreeing on what the 100 years looks like and what people in 100 years are thinking about and reading. So if you think that the world follows a certain type of path, JF Garepi could be king. And if you think the world, and I was going to say, actually, legitimately, if we win, I'm talking about Canadian nationalists, if we win, if we succeed in rebuilding our nation, I think what John Carter has been writing, people will remember. Not because it's
okay. Yeah, someone said John Carter here.
Yeah, a couple guys have, but it's very specific. It's very specific to what's going on in Canada. And I'm not saying it's like, look, I don't want to piss on John. I love John. I love John's writing. I just think that what the type of thing that he's been doing strikes me as, when I've been reading about commentators from 100 years ago, they strike me as John Carter type guys. Like, they're taken seriously, but they're saying something. They're saying something which is on the edges of radical, but still,
but also
enough that it can be accepted.
You raise a good point there. It's of its time, and this is something I've been guilty of in the past, of many others. You start thinking, I want to write something that's timeless. I want to write something that's evergreen. That doesn't really matter, because we've read great books on this show, like even to Maestra and others, that they're speaking in references of that era, and they're not
a lot
afraid
of them
of that.
are autobiographies, which are totally,
So you're like, oh, I'm writing this so it can be applicable across time. Like, that's impossible. It's more effective and probably more useful if you try, when people write about the discourse or talk about internet stuff, like, well, that is relevant to this era. If someone's looking back in 100 years, they probably would appreciate that snapshot in time. So don't run away from that, I think. And I think that's what John Carr does. Jonathan Bowden, yeah. That would be my choice. I would like that to be the case. We'd said in a previous episode, if we had any sort of money and influence, we would be funding statues of Bowden be erected. I think and there's other people who've been releasing, I think Countercurrents releases books on his speeches and whatnot. So his stuff is out there, but I think that was a tragic loss of a rare talent of an orator. And so, yeah, like, you're not going to find a lot of people, I think, who dislike Bowden. That's an interesting case. Like, how to be a great person, like, how many people are enemies of this person? Like, I was joking with JF Garepi. I'm like, look, he's either going to be known in 100 years for murdering his wife and getting away with it longer than anyone's ever gotten away with it, while everyone being sure that he did it.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't. Or he'll be famous for his book. And full disclosure, we had Jeff Garepi on the show. Great interview. And we covered his book, The Revolutionary Phenotype, which I really like. That's another book that I don't know if I'd recommend it, but I think about that book all the fucking time, and I actually like it.
Garepi could be king. I wasn't trying to make like a random joke. What I meant was, if the revolutionary phenotype got any traction, then we could live in a future where he is like the, I'm losing my names here, but the guy, who's the guy from Foundation who created the Foundation?
Harry
Seldon. He's a Canadian Harry Seldon. Because he wrote the revolutionary phenotype, and he's making the last implicit stand of humanity against the machines. Yeah, except that he's insane, but he could.
Just throwing up some comments. I'm not going to read all these comments. I'm just going to put them up on the board, and people can enjoy them. Anthony Chimin says Mike Enoch. I actually like Mike Enoch. I think in a saner world, a guy like Mike Enoch, who's the host of the RightStuff.biz, just imagine him plugged into a media machine like a Rush Limbaugh. Like, to me, he's got the voice, he's got the mind, he's entertaining. If you just put him in like $1 million studio, like all these old radio guys, AM talk guys used to be, like, he would do fine.
Yeah.
I bet he would have a massive fucking audience.
Can you get surgery that puts your eyes at a normal, like, typical distance from each other?
I think that's a feature, not a bug.
Okay.
You gotta have something. That's what his is.
That's his thing.
He's got like shark eyes in the front of his head, and that's okay.
he looks like the shark from Finding Nemo.
He does.
Yeah, which means
This
he's
is-
nice. He's a nice guy.
I know what you're doing because I'm doing the same thing. You got kids, and so your references are starting to bleed into their shit. I've had to stop myself a couple times from making a Winnie the Pooh reference that would have worked.
Like really,
but
really deep lore Winnie the Pooh stuff.
Well, when you got kids, it's not so much deep lore; it's repetitive lore. It's that I've listened to this 5,000 times.
Yeah.
I know it inside and out. I know it better than my wife's voice. This fucking audiobook of him. See, here's what he did. Here's what I don't like about these books. I don't like the fucking narrator because they say Winnie the Pooh is he's pretty clever for a bear of such a small brain. Winnie the Pooh is the only nigga in that whole universe that innovates.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the story. He wants some honey. He's out of honey. He's got to get some honey. Who makes honey? Bada bing, bada boom. It's bees. He finds a beehive. How is he going to get up there? Goes to Christopher Robin. Can I get a balloon? He's floating up there. He dresses himself like a rain cloud to trick the bees. And he creates a whole facade, a whole ruse. He's saying the bees are not hoodwinked by this. He says, Christopher Robin, can you pace beneath me with an umbrella and say, tut, tut, it looks like rain. He follows suit. The bees almost buy it. But then, of course, he gets his rear end stuck in the tree. Point is, that's not what a bear of small brain would do.
Yeah.
That's innovative. That's that's entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Okay, who's smarter than him? Rabbit? Rabbit's a fucking faggot.
Yeah. Rabbit is the Jeff Bezos of that world, and Pooh is the Elon Musk. He's a fail fast type guy.
So, well, I bet you're smart because he's depressed, and you bought into this, Zog shit where depressed equals smart. No, he's a buffoon. Eeyore's the worst one there.
Eeyore's got some like endocrine disruptors or something going on there.
Piglet's fine in my books. I don't want to hear anything talk about Piglet.
Piglet is the reader surrogate.
True. Then who else we got in the mix? Tigger? Fuck Tigger. Tigger is the Kramer that doesn't know that he's Kramer. It's too much. But there's a period in The Simpsons where they were trying to make the Bart Simpson into an icon. In Eat My Shorts was a big thing. You'd see video games, comic books with Bart Simpson. Bart Simpson cannot support the weight of that media empire on his shoulder. You're gonna put Tigger, make Tigger the star of his own story? Are you fucking bonkers? Are you out of your fucking mind? It's these sorts of mistakes I don't like to see. I'm showing this to my son. I'm going to show my son a bunch of mistakes. You know who wouldn't make that fucking error is Winnie the Pooh. And I don't mind telling you. Sex Treatment says total Tigger death. This is a good 300th episode.
We're at an hour and 8 minutes. We haven't even got to the review.
Pooh
is not subversive.
is
Come on,
not-
is it?
No. Gotta get fucked up. Oxy like Babar. Babar rules. Babar is. I'm gonna get him into Babar. I forgot about that. What else we got here? I don't like him, but Dimes is right. See, everyone
Dr.
comes
Pino.
around on us.
Yeah.
If you can believe it, we're doing a retrospective here. We used to get death threats, or I did, on Telegram, because some people didn't like who we're and what we stand for. I'll tell you what, a lot of those people who sent death threats at one point, they came around. Now they're like, I love Humphrey Bongfart. I love Rape Romano. I love voting Romano who is voting for Rape Romano. Like we win people over. It only took nearly a decade.
It has been a long time, hasn't it? I remember the first few episodes we did, I was sitting at my office in Hong Kong, my first office in Hong Kong. So it was like a very, very long time ago.
Yeah. So here's what I'm talking about right here. I decided to pull up an early episode, right? And I was asking our community, I said, I want to find an episode with some really bad takes. We can roast ourselves, have some fun with it. And we've had some people, as we saw on X, who said, I've been going through the back catalog. I'm like, okay, can you give me something? They're like, well, you didn't really change much. You know what I mean? It's not like we were Bernie bros and then pivoted later on, or we were like anti-Trump became pro-Trump, you know. And in going through some of these old episodes and reading the descriptions, I mean, I'm looking at this one right now. This is episode 2, and we're talking about how AI is bullshit. Nigger, I don't think we've. I don't think we've changed.
Is Ray on this episode? Nice. We got a Ray appearance.
I was reading the description here, and it says Raver was famously drunk and also decided to take sleeping pills. And I'm like, I remember that. And if you are just a casual viewer, you're seeing that and thinking, oh my God, there's that irreverence again. And no, that's what he used to do. I gotta check in on him. This is back in the day. He used to get blackout drunk and then take sleeping pills. I remember several occasions doing the finger gun side, sideways fingers, and said, "You're gonna die." This is how rich women die. They drink 2 bottles of wine and take sleeping pills, and they don't wake up. You should stop doing that. Then he got into bicycling, and I guess he turned it around.
He still
I
drinks
hope.
good. He's still a good drinker.
Oh, define good.
Like he does it exactly as much as you need. He's got it down to a science. I still go drinking with him sometimes, and we drink and we drink and we drink, and then we're like, got to work tomorrow, and we work tomorrow, and it's great.
Oh, you know what rhymes with poo dimes? Jew. That's what, you know what? Maybe it is.
Nailed you. It's over.
Winnie the Pooh, more like Winnie the Jew. We had a lot of eggheads in the chat making the connection. They said, what's poo rhyme with? It rhymes with Jew. For me, an egg earhead, I said, well, poo also rhymes with poo.
Yeah.
I'm talking shit. I'm talking turds. What does that mean? And I'm going down a road I don't want to go down.
Yeah.
When I want to show my kids mistakes, I just walk outside. All right, so I guess we can just start listening to this. I don't know how long we're going to keep listening, but just to show you, I was going through some descriptions. Again, 2018 is when this was recorded. And I've been thinking in the back of my mind, yeah, we've been doing this for like 5 years or so. It's like 7 years we've been doing this.
Yeah.
You still have fun? You still like it?
Yeah, we're doing it. Yeah.
Every 6 months or so, I reassess and ask, do I want to still keep doing this? Because like we're doing okay. We have a very strong audience, a very strong community, very healthy paywall subscribers. But you want to just check in because you see it happen, all over the place where people end up shackled to this thing that they clearly hate doing. They treat it, maybe it's their only source of income. They're not having fun with it anymore. So I'm like, am I still having fun? Have I, in the back of my mind, I am thinking that maybe I've read enough books. I'm like, after we did that arc of sort of the white nationalist stuff, I said, maybe that's a good endpoint. Maybe we do something else now. Then people keep sending me things that I really want to read. We've had more people send us interesting things than ever before. And it just, every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
There you go.
So now I've got another list of like 20 things that are genuinely interesting to me. And, I just received this extremely thoughtful email just today from a fan, listener, friend of the show. Several paragraphs, and they're very, I love your show and I loved your book. A lot of people forgot that I'd published a book, and he was saying nice things about it. And every so often, you get these messages. Even you do too. I know you're not in the chat right now, but everyone's like, Judas is amazing and stuff. And sometimes it's stuff like that keeps us doing it. It sounds very self-congratulatory, but I don't know. Like, to me, I'm still enjoying it. It's 300 episodes, so we're getting a bit retrospective about it, but like, we wouldn't be here if we didn't like doing it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I know you especially, because I don't think you would be doing it just to be nice. He's not a nice guy.
That's
like
the big joke. I'm not a nice person. I hate podcasts. I hate podcasters. I don't like any of this shit. I hate social media, but I enjoy this. And I mean, it's not a joke when I say, we don't have. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I don't have that many friends, so it's nice to have a little bit of the a little bit of the parasocial interaction with people. And if I have to be on a podcast, then that's my get. That's fine.
Oh, sorry. We got a request from Bill Wilson. We need a Rape Romano appearance for episode 300. Oh,
Fuck. Way to go, guys. Way to go, Bill.
300 rapes. I don't want to do it anymore. Rape Romano's having a crisis of rape. Oh, it's enough. I don't even get hard anymore. Get Indians to do it. I'm getting nothing from Judas here. He hates this. Do you hate Rape Romano?
I'm a huge. Oh, it's my favorite bit.
Someone says do an episode on Queer Duck the series. Jan says I have to read Dimes' book now that I learned about 3 seconds ago. Yeah, I should take more cues from my friend Dan Baltic. He wrote this very popular book named Nutcranker, and he's always talked about it. He's bringing it up because he's very proud of it. You know, we sold quite a few copies of this book, but then I just don't talk about it. Or here's the problem: we do too much stuff. I got the show, and then there's Vanguard's Journal, then there's the store, then there's, you know, whatever video we're working on. So if I'm on a show and they're like, do you have time to plug anything? I'm going to like 7 fucking things. And I'm like, no. I just say no. I just don't plug anything like a fucking idiot. So I have no one to blame but myself. I'm not blaming anyone else. But yeah. So, we got 5 here. You tell you what, you start getting thousands of dollars, these little 5s. You know, they're not even registering anymore. But he says, please cover more schizo parapolitical books like Program to Kill and Eye of the Chicken Hawk. Will do. I actually have a few lined up. We're kind of running out of them, though. That's the problem. And the problem I had with a lot of conspiracy books is there's a few very good ones, but a lot of them are shit. A lot of them are not terribly interesting or well written. We're going to get into some stuff with giants. We're going to get into some stuff with more esoteric stuff. But if anyone has any suggestions, by the way, feel free to send them. So said that? Spot the Spy. bloodsatellite@protonmail.com. That's our official email address. If anyone wants us to cover anything, anyone's got a story, anyone's got a book, I take copious notes on all this shit. We might not get to it right away, but we will. So send it, whatever it is. Some of the best stuff that we've covered have come from listeners, you know. Here we go. Vulpus, I got a dirty 30 on 3 hundo.
Nice. Thanks, buddy.
Man, this is why we like live streaming. Everyone's so nice. Don't you love a nice chat? Pilsen never been the same since the times where Rape Plant got shut down. Just like the Deer Hunter, but with one minor detail change to the rest of the movie. It's like just a small rape town. They gotta go to Vietnam. Nothing else changes. Life in the consent belt is rough. Trying to open a rape plan in the consent belt. I guess the chastity belt would be the thing you say there.
Damn, son, where'd you find
Non-stop ass rape!
Okay, so I guess we should listen to this episode. We're just gonna keep it going here. Let me see if I'm gonna turn down this music a little bit. Okay, here we go. Let me know if you can hear this, by the way.
We all do.
You hear that? Okay. So this is going to be classic raver.
Magical leg in his like may lower.
Why can't you?
I wanted to.
Here we go. Sound familiar?
Nothing has changed.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a king.
Blood satellite.
Raver has a natural biological leg.
Do I sound like a jagoff?
You sound like that right now. It's the exact same.
Okay, it could have been. You could have said no. It cost you nothing to say.
Well,
no.
I didn't say yes or no. I just said that is. You didn't say that was sounded like you bag off. That's what you sound like. It's. I can't even tell which one's the recording.
Look here. We spend a lot of time talking about Canadian media and comedians and how wretched it all is. To sound familiar, do we have to? Do we have to change? What do you think? Would it be better if we were radically different?
No, we're good.
We were still doing Jew stuff and black stuff back then. We kind of here's what broke us. It was the Summer of Love. It was the George Floyd thing. We were always pretty radical on things. I remember that was an era where I had to start editing a lot from the shows, the pre-recorded shows. This is before we were live streaming, because just the stuff you were seeing in the news was so infuriating that we were just running our mouths too much. We were being kind of crazy. But like something happened, that and COVID. I think if you listen to the entirety of the show, it's pretty interesting. You can, like, again, 7 years, right? You have the entire story. You were living in Hong Kong at the time. You have a whole era of Jews living in Hong Kong, attending these street protests, the birth of your child, the birth of your children, and the birth of my children. Like, you've got huge chunks of our lives documented in this show, and you see how we kind of evolve our takes, and then really all the stuff that stays the same. And you can kind of see these breaking points where I think we get not black pilled but more radical. So like the DNA of us doesn't change, but it's amplified, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Oh, Bill Wilson, of course, saying Dimes is jagging on. Thank you. Just one more. Deer Ravens never been the same, so they got developed down south of Rapeville. Okay, this is, again, jot that down. I can see the shape of a good sketch in here.
Egg in his like mind. Like we're trying so hard to like sync all this up.
By the way, we used to have the jazz in the background, and I had this other sound that I would take entire other podcasts, I would warp them, I would slow them down, chop it and screw it, and lay that over top in post-production. And I thought that was cool. I thought I was being really trippy. And then I just got one email once. It was like, why do you have the sound of a bunch of fucking hogs in the background? I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I thought people were appreciating how cool and interesting I was being. I was like, what? Hey, why do you got stupid fucking bar noises?
Your sound floor's got hog shit and grease on it.
I've got the story of the sound floor has ebbed and flowed throughout the history of this show. I used to get so many emails and comments saying, get rid of it. And then for a period I would. And then I started getting messages saying people missed it, and they were equal. Like, I didn't know which one to listen to. And then I just said, I'm going to live in my truth.
Do what you want.
And I just do it. And I like it. And now everyone has just shut up about it. Everyone is tolerated for what it's worth. Here we go.
They've got, there's this
Christ.
fascia.
It's hard to tell if you're the one talking in the background or if it's just the show.
This fascia, like a membrane between the lobes of your brain that allows them to communicate with each other, right? And Ray's is made of chicken grease.
You actually have fascia between all organs in your body. Masseuse told me that.
He is so wasted during this episode.
I love Wasted Ray.
He was wasted every episode. A lot of people were asking. There's two recurring guests we had on the show. Ray we speak of with affection because I like Ray. And he may very well be listening now. We wish him well. Then the other one is, we won't get too deep into this, is a character named Snipe. He was on a handful of episodes. We were all friends. That's how this started. There's a group of friends that were going to meet. Here's what really, I think, broke him away from it. I had said, well, we got to do it every week. We need some kind of schedule for this. And he didn't like that. Or he just thought he could show up drunk too. And so for a while, half of the show, half the show was blackout drunk. I was also drunk, but not as bad as them. So 3/4 of the show was drunk, but one person was trying to be a good type of drunk, and then the other two were just like, "Fuck, what the fuck?" Like they hated being there too, which was odd. And then I think when the last episode Snipe was on, he was like really laying into me, like ranting at me.
And a lot of it seemed like sabotage, like he was intentionally trying to drag the conversation in a way that would make us want to just kill our mics and walk away from the computer.
The reason I bring this up is that I've gotten 3 or so comments just from people who've been going through the old catalog, and I felt compelled to message you saying, I hate this Snipe guy. like people, just regular people don't like him. And that's all I'm going to say about that. We're not going to go into all the interesting details about what he has transitioned to over the years, but let's just say there's something about his essence that people didn't like in this show, and I thought you might find that amusing. So we got Anthony Chimman saying, when I listened to this, I was living in the country and had to walk 3 miles for beer, and I did it a lot. It was pretty nice. People make memories around this show.
Nice, buddy.
So we got, Winkler's Meat saying he hears the hogs. We had Blood Based here with $50 USD.
Buddy, thank you.
Thank you. Again, a guy popping in saying, hey, what's up? Leaving. We got the best squad. I don't know about these other shows complaining about their fans. You know, you've seen this? Pete Kionis does this all the time, too. Like, he's always laying into his fans. Couldn't be me, man.
Using the word followers as a derisive phrase. You're all a bunch of followers. Like, yeah, well, we are subscribed.
That was funny. He was like, I don't know what there was. Someone was like getting into his ass about a Trump take. And he's like, if you think I've said this and not that, you're just a follower. And I don't want followers. And I said, well, that is what you call them on X. That's what you have. You have, like, as a derogatory, it was just really funny to me. What you just want these fucking subscribers, man. All right, so let's just keep going. Let's get into
I hate matter of fact, Ray.
I didn't know you spoke Vietnamese, right?
It's not always not like that.
He speaks sarcastic Vietnamese, like we all do.
See, that sounds like it could have been a germ of something good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I couldn't chase it all the way there.
It's always this problem, especially with people that don't have, like, we had no practice, right? This was all new for us as well, but you don't have practice talking to somebody live, and then also when there's more than 2 people and you can't gauge like the dead air, whether somebody else is going to speak. And in the case of guys blackout drunk, he doesn't have another thought. He's just laughing and reacting. Do not wait for him. He'll chime back in when he's ready.
Yeah, we're gonna drag him kicking and screaming through this episode. But again, like, just for complete clarity's sake, I was also drinking pretty heavily during the first many episodes, but it wasn't as bad where I would just have like a couple of drinks. But then I think I'd get progressively worse. But these early episodes were only an hour long, so it didn't really matter. If I was going for a full 3 hours or whatever, like, you would definitely notice it by the end. But this was a funny era because I was, at some point, my wife's mother came down with a nasty case of breast cancer. And so we were traveling from Toronto to where they live, like, every single weekend, because they didn't know if she'd survive. And so for like a year or two, I was always I would rent space in like a co-working space. I would rent conference rooms and record this, and I'd set up with the mic and everything, and just in this empty fucking place. But recording this shit in a conference room was very funny to me. And then I would just have like 3 bottles of whiskey, and I would just be like drinking that as we did it, and thinking like, this is it. This is content. But still better than most, I think.
So I just wanted, we got some big topics to get to today because we're doing this right now. But Snipe, who's not going to be on this episode,
yay,
because he's too late. He got my attention on this yesterday, and I've been checking this constantly for the past 24 hours. It's the This Hour Has 22 Minutes Twitter feed, and I wanted to just share a couple of these with you.
This actually does sound like something we would do yesterday. Jesus Christ. Hey, we found this on with your bridge. Want to riff on it and just laugh at it? Fuck. We're stuck in our like mid to late 20s. It also turns out that nothing's happening in Canada over the course of 7 years.
to see what you think, because the man, I'm in Tuktoyaktuk. I knew I should have taken a left at Edmonton. Doctors say preference for coffee over tea may be genetic. For example, if your last name is Horton.
I might bring back that stuff. I might bring back the background noise because when there's dead air, it kind of peaks up through there and it sounds like someone reacting to it.
It's the hogs.
Yeah, I was just reading this hour 22 minutes straight, and they haven't gotten any better, by the way.
We got one here. Doug Ford rolls out.
So are you saying something?
No.
No, fuck. It's just, this is, I didn't anticipate this. I didn't anticipate that this entire time I'd think you were trying to pipe in and I'm going to keep stopping it. Fuck.
Yes, sir. So one more. Doug Ford rolls out his buck of beer plan. Spoiler alert, it's beer for $1. So
I don't buy it.
I mean, I can go on. I can. There's a lot. I can go on. This here.
No.
Go on.
The tweets sound like they're written by people who actually despise the show, if not the institution of the CBC, and are deliberately trying to fly the plane into the mountain. Like, just anybody please notice how terrible this is.
We should get Ray back on this. For like one what do you think? Like one episode?
He won't.
He won't? Why won't he?
Because he's got a new job.
We've all got jobs.
No. He's got it. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say he has a job now, and he cannot come on the show because of the job that he has now. It would not work. But
it wouldn't. Here's the funny thing about Raver. It's that's a nickname. Obviously, that's not his real God-given name, but everyone has called him that for as long as I know. That even people who aren't his friends know him as Raver. And when he would go to our weddings, like our parents were calling him Raver.
Yeah.
Like it was like fucking like Kramer or like some Jughead.
Yeah.
Right. At some point, we just grafted a new identity onto him, and he's a good sport, but also it does amuse me that no matter where he is right now, whatever his job is, they also call him Raver. He's working at fucking some Fortune 500 company. It's on his resume. So let me see. Hogs in the background. He lives in Toronto. Old Trudeau was the last radical before Harvard got hold of him. Prior, he leaned very heavy right on the side of the Jesuits. So there's that. Interesting point. I don't know what that's in reference to, but we got some Trudeau lore.
I mean, it'd be really funny if they were trying to get canceled, but
skip
in the
ahead
middle
here.
of November, apparently they wanted the cups out in time for Black Coffee Friday.
Holy shit, I'm
We're
still going
very,
at that.
Very pro artificial intelligence. Like they're just trying to run towards as quick as possible, like it's some kind of utopian thing. And I remember when we worked for this organization, a lot of these guys, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but a lot of them were working towards this world that they described where in the future, there won't even be search engines. You'll just have this hyper advanced artificial intelligence that will be customized to you, that will be able to predict.
Holy shit, we called that.
That's fascinating. That's essentially ChatGPT. Not that I wouldn't say we predicted it. We're essentially quoting what other people have predicted, but there it is.
Let me just say, when you hear people say like I predicted this or I predicted that, what they are saying is that they read one or more articles about something and they just repeated it. So
Yeah,
at
they
that
dove
time,
in on that bandwagon and said, "Yes, I agree with this, and I'm going to broadcast it." Yeah.
what we were doing was reading the news and saying, "Hey, this is what they're saying." So like, don't let anyone pull the wool over your eyes on what a prediction is. But that is what we have, and that is how people engage with AI right now. I forget who it was. It was someone in our community, but they'd put it best when they had said that AI itself is something of an IQ test. in that you use AI, right? You use AI to just
You mean chat?
chat or even Midjourney for images or like
I use it constantly. Yeah.
I've used it to sort of make certain jobs easier and create mock-ups and things like that. But then there's this other group of people who are extremely impressed by AI. I'm thinking of a specific tweet. I'm just going to say it. It was by academic agent Nemo Parvini. And I don't think he was joking when he said this, but he said that he's spent like hours and hours and hours in marveling at ChatGPT and just experimenting and testing things and just seeing what it's capable of and things like that. And I've heard other people say that, but Grok is another one. So ChatGPT and Grok.
The IQ test.
The IQ test is being impressed by it. And I see people like, I'm having real conversations with it. And I would say, how? You can't. It's not that. It's not the movie Her.
You can have a conversation with it to the same extent that you can have a conversation with like I don't want to say a child, because conversations with these LLMs are more advanced than talking to a child. But I guess there's some level of maybe consciousness or depth of personality where if you talk to it, we've all tried to talk to it. If you talk to it long enough, it's like, oh, I can see the fence that you're inside of. You know what I mean? Like, I get that there's a limited, like, I don't know, like you only have so much ammo to respond, right? There's only so many types of ways that they can phrase things. And I know it's part of that is because it's hobbled, but it also, it can only aggregate, right? So it's on a bell curve. It can't get out into the tails of the curve.
Yeah.
It literally can't mathematically.
Which is what happened with search engines. If people can, maybe you're too, not you, but the listener might be too young. They don't remember time when search engines used to be good. Google used to be good and impressive technology, and you would get really great results. And then over time, it was sort of gerrymandered, and the quote unquote, the algorithm kept changing. But then also, maybe more importantly, people started gaming the system. That's where SEO comes from, search engine optimization. That was an entire job for a while. I don't even really think it is much anymore. But it was, oh, how can I optimize a page so it makes it very easy to crawl from search engines? So you started getting this proliferation of what we might now call slop. It was just content. That's the birth of content. Guys, there used to be a time when we didn't call this stuff content. I know it's crazy to think, but we called things articles and music. But then content just says this data in an entertaining, orientation, right? That's what content is. But that's when you started getting just this glut of shit on Google. And to the point where nothing on Google's good anymore. The top ranking page sucks. It's WikiHow.
Yeah.
It's all this. It's a true slop. And then, so here comes AI. And that's kind of what we were getting to there. People, even myself, I've done this before. You just use AI as a search engine. Ask it a question and it'll answer it. But all it's doing is pulling from the search engine and putting it in a paragraph. That's all.
It's also very wrong. It's very, very wrong. Most of
this is what I'm saying.
But if you're working on the edge of your own understanding, it's better than a search engine to get the wheels turning to know which direction you should go in to like research something for real. But I mean, like it's the example people say is coding. Like you can use it for coding if you know how to code because it'll give you something. If you're good at coding, don't use it. If you suck at coding, don't use it. But if you're just good enough at coding that you wouldn't, you can save a bit of time by letting it give you a template, which will never work. And then you have to spend 2 hours fixing it because you're not actually a programmer. As a non-programmer, that can work. But it's kind of a narrow edge case, like 3D printing. It's a very narrow edge case where this is actually useful.
Yeah, but you raised a good point there that I've seen it be wrong so many times. And so many people have caught it just being factually wrong or getting the wrong gist of something. So I'm like, this isn't even functional. Quite like Grok is fucking retarded. And then so is ChatGPT on certain things. So I'm like, I don't understand how a person can sit in awe of this thing. I get what the boundaries are. I get what the limitations are. But at best, we've had AI chatbots on websites. What's an AI chatbot on a website? You've seen this 5 years ago, which is like, oh, I've got a machine learning hierarchy of questions and answers. You type in a problem and it sorts to what you think the solution is. Like it's kind of like that. Anyway, we're good enough, and we're doing episode 2.
Here we go.
Congratulations. Hey, we're doing it's us right now. We're doing episode 2.
We are the LLM.
Yeah. Oh, Bill Wilson says if you're Indian level, it's useful. This is the only thing I like about this automation stuff and Chat GPTs. I think the most impacted will be the Indians.
Yeah.
Like we're eventually going to, that's what we try to do with, the bots on the phones. Like we're trying to get rid of telemarketers.
That's the way I explained it to my partner, actually, because he was shocked that I was using it for projects at work. And I'm like, look, I'm trying to do parts of this project that are outside of my experience range. I'd have to hire a subcontractor. And if I hired a subcontractor, we can't afford it, which means we'd have to hire the cheapest one, which means Fiverr or India or some fucking college kid, which in my area would not be white. So I'm just saying, fuck it. I'll just do it myself, and I'll let this retarded robot do some of the heavy lifting. And yeah, there it is. But it's never going to be good.
I think the one thing I like it for, and it seems that the effectiveness of it's getting better for creating realistic imagery and stuff. And that's what I said on a recent Real Secret Coffee Hours. The last Real Secret Coffee Hours I did, we're talking about it was an article, it was written in response to Dave Green, Dave the Distributist, who was talking about culture's slop now. And he was saying, no, not really. I won't get into the whole thing. But I tended to agree that it wasn't. And I'd said that, if there's one thing that I think creative AI can help with, it's that it can empower the auteur. Hypothetically, you could have more smaller teams, just like with indie games. There's some amazing indie games. Maybe the only interesting games right now are indie developers. And that's because you can make great games with smaller teams thanks to the technology. Similarly, you can make a good, realistic enough looking video. The problem is that we've got morons using it. And so they make slop. They make pornified horse shit, or they make something political.
It cuts both ways. Like games is a great one. So you're going to have a new crop of indie developers who create great works, which for economic reasons never would have been possible without these tools. But at the same time, like if you multiplied the number of great indies by 3, you've also multiplied the amount of just absolute trash slop by 1,000. So it is also harder to sift through. Well, it's actually not harder to sift through because some of this trash is so obvious trash that you can just click past it because it's so immediately obvious. I do appreciate that this stuff is very, very transparent in when it's slop. It's like, oh, that's slop. I can just click past.
That's when I call attention to Donald Trump Gaming. Says, I like that Elon gave Grok the inflections of a sassy gay black man. It might have. The only thing I like Grok for is fucking with people on X, like finding a big effort post someone made and say, Grok, rewrite this in Jamaican patois. Like, hey, can you write this as like a fucking like a lesbian who's slitting her wrists? Like, just see what it can do. What do you think that sounds like? Hey, can you write this? Can you write this in the voice of a pilot who's around a minute and a half away from crashing his plane? I'm looking for nervous but hopeful, but I'm looking for panic above all else. Can you do that for me, Grok? Can you get in the mind of a dying pilot? Can you get in the mind of a? Can you say, Grok? Can you rewrite this little thesis paper, this little essay someone wrote on why Sopranos actually sucks? Can you write this in the voice of a Russian astronaut who's become decoupled from his spaceship and is hurtling ass over tea kettle into the depths of space? Real quick, can you do that? And it does.
Thanks, buddy.
And I say thanks, and then I go away. I didn't read it. I just go away forever.
You click away while it's loading and never go back.
Just never go back, delete my account, walk away, just get offline. That's it. I did it. Yeah, there it is. I did it. Pragmatic culture. Hello, Leaf Bros. Looks like your joke country goes another year without a Stanley Cup. I hope it's another 3 decades on top of this. Cheers. Well, that's a fine how do you do.
Don't care. Don't care at all.
Yan comes by with Go Leafs Go. I'm not trying to be one of these sports ball guys, but I honestly have no idea what's going on in sports. I don't know. Yeah. I'm so far removed from that. I know it sucks. I know it's lame. I'm a lame guy.
The teams are all foreign anyways, aren't they? Like all these teams. Like obviously not as much as football, but it's not like they're owned and operated by Canadians, even if there are Canadian players on the roster. We're Canadians. We love hockey. Play hockey with your kids. Go to the rink. My neighbor has a rink, and we go and.
You can tell me anything. You say, "Hey, did you know that the entire Maple Leafs are Japanese?" I'd be like, "Yeah, probably.
Sure, why not?" Isn't baseball like all Japanese now?
Hey, do you know that all the Maple Leafs are Cuban? I bet. Figures historically.
Yeah.
Hey, Dimes, do you know that they're all white people? Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's a Canadian sport. Like, just tell me. Yeah, you're right.
Making it up.
Whatever it is about. Hey,
do you know that Astrophism talks of this?
Do you know that they got rid of the last black man who was playing basketball? Yeah, you know what? I mean, fucking nigger fatigue, really. It's like just yep. Tell me a thing about sports.
Did you know the Holocaust happened?
Did you know?
You're feeling credulous.
Do you think we were talking about that early on in the show? I have to think. I don't think we broached the topic directly until later, but do you think we've changed much on Holocaust stuff?
Oh, I remember dancing around these topics a lot more, like kind of hushed tones and innuendo.
Yeah. Then we just lost all sense later on. Sure. I was thinking about that just the other day, because one day the other shoe is going to drop. One day, I'm sure I'm going to get doxxed. One day, I'll have to stand and answer for the things I've said on the show. And I don't think there's a single thing I've said that I regret. Not one. Like, honestly, like I think I stand by everything I've ever said here. You'd have to let me listen to it if you think it's really egregious, but nah, I probably did a good job. I think I was persuasive. If you play that to me in court, I'm going to say, yeah, you should. That's good evidence why I'm not guilty. That was good and it's smart. And this jury's fucking gay and the judge is trans. So you're out of order. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to be in front of a judge. I can't wait to just represent my fucking bomb ass self. Yeah, early on in the show, I don't think we thought it would get this big, because it's pretty good now.
Yeah.
And now things are real, and now people are like, they come to us like, do you remember when you said this? I don't remember. I actually don't. I don't know what I said last year. But going by this episode, I'm pretty optimistic.
Whatever you want that day. I don't know exactly how, but that's their goal, and they're very enthusiastic about that. They think that's the future. What do you think about that?
That is stupid. That is really that's really.
You really haven't changed.
That is stupid.
This is the classic blood satellite dichotomy where I spend 3 minutes saying like, "What do you think about that?" I think that's fucking stupid. Here's the thing. Yeah, that's dumb. I'll tell you why. Because a dumb idiot said it. Eric Frost says, this podcast is my life. A life well lived.
Dumb.
Yeah, and the idea is, and this is what...
just me like, yep, moving on.
But this is, it's the same fucking people. And yeah, you know what it is? It's the same people who they get a 3D printer and they make some little fucking widget and it takes 9 hours and fucks up 3 times. And they're like, 3D printing is the future. One day we'll all live in 3D printed homes. Or they see, the Saudis used a drone to kill children in Yemen. They're like, we need to fear AI because one day it will enslave us all and we'll all live in the Matrix. It's leaps and bounds out of reality. Have to fucking render engine that can tell you.
Shut up, Ray. I agree. Duh.
Whether or not a person probabilistically will buy shoes this month is not the same thing as it waking me up to say, here, I made you a coffee and I knew that you'd want more cream this morning. That's, you know what I mean?
I think that,
yeah, I think, sorry, Judas has a very good point. And Dimes, after we worked at that company, I worked at another company in the same space that were much more.
Of course, Ray, the reason he didn't want to be on the show is because he kept doxing himself. Or then just tell me more about your CV, asshole. I worked at all these companies that did exactly this, and here's where I live, and here's my social insurance number. You fucking
well financed, predictive.
I'm gonna skip by this because I'm afraid that he's gonna say something that he might find offensive.
To calculate all this shit and make all the executive and deliberative decisions you need to make the end result
That's
work.
fucking weird.
It's like it's like the Tim and Eric Mancierge thing. It's just one guy trying to do all this shit.
Which again might not be far off from what we have.
Yeah,
it's like that's basically I just described what happened with Theranos in Elizabeth Smart. It's like it was actually just a bunch of really tiny people inside of a big box that were just running tests. It has nothing to do with automation. It's just the same thing that we've been dealing with for thousands of years. It turns out that human life is worth less than machinery.
Yeah.
And we haven't actually reached the point where brown people's lives are worth they're at parity with our technology, but that will come, right?
Yeah.
But
Sean Schaefer says Judas sounds like Rape Romano. you sound the exact same. That's pretty cool. I do think there's a bit more joie de vivre in our voices. Would you say?
Yeah, we were younger.
We're excited. Do you miss that? Do you miss being young?
Kind of. Yeah, a little bit.
I'm not sure that I do. I know you're not supposed to say that.
I just miss. You know what it is? I don't miss it. It was awful. I have regrets. Like there's things I wish I did differently. So I wish that I was then there again to do other things. But I don't think that's the same thing as. Like I remember being there at that time. I was not having a good time. So no, I don't miss it.
Yeah, that's true. You know, as I've gotten older, I've come to understand that everyone gets precisely what they deserve, for better or worse. So there was things that we were doing when we were younger, the bad things we were doing. And when things have gone wrong in my life later, I'd always thought, well, I deserve this. I think I'm paying something back. Either this is righteous punishment or I've set myself up to fail in several ways. Like if your life is hard, it's because you didn't do something right or you made a wrong turn somewhere. And so on a long enough timeline, I think people tend to get their comeuppance. It's hard to see when you're in your 20s because everyone's just finding their own way. But if you check in on these people when they're in their 30s or when they're in their 40s, you see who the rotten souls are. Mm-hmm. You see, the worst qualities of people can manifest or the best qualities. And it all depends. And you see that behavior take its toll on their face. Once you get to your 40s, you can just look at someone and tell the life that they lived. And so I don't know. I kind of miss being young, but not really. I like where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to like being 80 if I ever get to be 80. I've noticed that
drugs saved up for that.
It seems to me that men start wearing their pants very high. And it's regardless of their education level and even their race. I think like if an 80-year-old Japanese guy seems to hike this fucking waistband right up to his nipples. And I don't know what that's about.
I thought somebody explained it to me one time. It's like actually your body shape, the way that your like fat and muscle hangs on your body, that a belt doesn't actually hold your pants up anymore.
That's wild.
Yeah. So you could do suspenders though, but nobody wants to do suspenders, so you just hike it up higher.
I didn't know you could age out of belts.
You age out of aging out of belts is a nice way of putting it. What you're doing is you're aging out of ass and hips. That's the truth.
You just age out of ass. Because at that point, you'd have to go suspenders.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. I'm going to be a suspenders dude for sure.
You can't do it too early.
Yeah.
Because if you burn suspenders in your 20s, you can't wear them again. Then you're trying to recapture your youth.
That's right. I might have burned pipe smoking, actually, and I regret that. I should have saved it.
I think it's going to be a good 20 years before cigars come around.
Yeah.
Cigars have been ruined. I'm thinking. I'm going to smoking Colts. Is
That
good,
was
though.
that was cigar money that he gave you.
Yeah, he gave a cigar. Mine was spent on smoking Colts. He's like cigars. For people who don't know, I don't know if they. I guess they must have these everywhere, but they're like cigarette cigars with plastic tips that are dipped in various types of alcohol, and you get these like high school. You have these in high school, and it's like wine tipped or bourbon tipped, and it tasted stupid. It was a dumb thing to smoke, but it's like it's like a trashy thing to do, and I miss it. I'm like, I think we got to go back. Remember what they took from you.
You got to smoke through plastic. It's the only way.
Yes, there's no such thing as a good cold either.
Smoke through disposable plastic.
And am I wrong? Did they come in like a metal container? Like, what do they come in?
I don't think I ever bought any. I think I just bummed it off everybody else.
This man's going there without a dollar to his name, trying to bum Colts off of people. Shameful. But fucking Bill some flat ass dimes. I've not aged out of pants. Oh yeah, Union Black and Mild. Hell yeah. Okay, I guess that's like the American version. I've heard of that before. All right, so let's just see what's going on.
It's overhyped.
Well, because what they're doing it right now, and that's what they do on Facebook, and at the very least in content delivery and with news delivery.
It's just going to shift the window, so that old sector shrinks a little and the new sector grows.
Yeah, well, in terms of AI and like recommend,
Still going on, but AI, huh?
I
guess it's only an hour long, and so we're only like half an hour in there. But yeah.
Look, but they don't know who you are and they don't know what the book is. They just know what spot it goes in. That I think that I'd go to that library.
Yeah, it's an interesting movement, and this is the problem. And maybe Ray, we're going to speak to this when we talk about content marketing, when we talk about the necessity of using content online for brands or businesses. Again, we reached the point where so many people.
I was still trying to make marketing happen back then. Let me talk shop to people. Spinning the chair around, sitting it backwards. Hey man, let's rap. Let's rap ads.
And so many brands are making so much fucking content. It's just this background microwave radiation that just dulls everything out. And so again, I was saying that
I fear that my yeah, talking about slop. Yeah, I feel like my vocabulary hasn't evolved that much. I hope it has, but my background,
why would it need to?
I don't know.
It's fine.
I should be more erudite. I should be more. What's the word?
Can we get a Joe Clark check on erudite?
Can we get? Let me tell you this: this guy did not like Joe Clark. I do.
I know.
I liked Herb.
He's your boy.
I like a lot of the people we've had on. It's good show. It's a meaty show. But I got to hear from Judas in the DMs. It's like, I wanted to punch my screen. I wanted to throw it out the fucking window.
Yes.
But I'm like, no, listen to the end. He's nice to me later.
He's very complimentary. He's like, yeah.
Farmer Grady Hauger, episode 3000 times is 89. The show is him and AI Jews having conversations with old versions of themselves. That's the type of gimmick we need. We need AI versions of ourselves. Let's go here. Hold on. Yeah, erudite with the tightness, says Vulpus Persona. Actually, let me just scan ahead here, because I think we get the gist of that episode. What's going on? Episode 4, Ancient Filipino Aliens. I just want to look at the description to get an idea of what we talked about. It's like, Dimes goes on about another quarter pill chicken dinners and how Michael Malice blocked him on Twitter. Oh, remember that? That was fun. There's also some stuff about ancient aliens, how science should be canceled, and North Koreans putting not going to jail for anime on their CVs. These really do sound like things we would talk about right now, but also, yeah, ancient aliens, fuck science. Here's a joke about Koreans.
No books. Also, one hour of riffs about dumb shit in the news and no reading.
We would have started the books later. I think we started with the bell curve.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was about the bell curve or the culture of critique. It was one of those two. And that might have been like episode 50. I think we got like 50 episodes in before we started doing that, and then just never stopped. And that's what a lot of people like that the most about the show. But to me, it's just riffing with my pal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, buddy.
Are men of our age allowed to call each other friends? That feels adolescent.
What? The fuck?
Is that something people do? They say, do men have friends?
Did you mention to like a Zoomer that you had friends and they started like snickering at you or something?
No, but now I'm self-conscious about that. 'Cause every day a Zoomer surprises me with something they don't do.
Yeah. Oh, you have friends? That's so 21st century.
Like I said at the top of this episode, I got dinged for, being boomer brained and saying that, what you need is confidence. Because the whole idea was we're talking about meeting women in church, right? You go to church, meet women. There's no women your age there, whatever. But they're like, well, where do you fucking meet women? Like Tinder and online dating. It's a meat market, and it's a place where women are dominant.
Yeah,
it's where women have all the power in there. So a lot of guys struggle with that. And I had said, okay, this is old man talking here, but you ask where would you meet women or the type of women that you want? And I would say, you go out and look around. You tell me, where are the women? Like, think about the type of woman that you want to meet. Who's your ideal?
Yeah.
Don't be retarded about it, by the way. Like, if you're one of these guys, like, I want a debt-free virgin with no tattoos. That to me is like the good, fast, cheap trifecta. You get two, all right? You can get a debt-free virgin. She might be covered in tattoos. You might get a virgin that's debt-free. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be one of those two. But if you're realistic about the type of woman they want, I mean, you can meet women anywhere. And then I remember when I think it was JD. He was like, "Well, you can't. What are you gonna do? Like approach them on the bus and bother them? They don't want that." I'm like, "That's what I did. I thought that's what guys just did all the time." This was before online dating. And in fact, online dating was seen as pathetic and sad. So
I wouldn't deign at this point as a fucking nearly 40-year-old to tell people to talk to people on the bus. Because that was, for me, obviously some of us did shit like that. But that was more than 20 years ago. And I do think things have changed enough that you may be in actual trouble for doing that now. And the other thing is like, you didn't meet your wife on the bus, and neither did I. We both met them in school.
I've met girls on the bus, but not the wives. We did meet them in school. That's
Right. But the
place.
point is not to get laid, is to find a wife, right? So both of us met our wives at school. They were like, we're classmates, and I would not suggest that either, to be honest. Because even the reason that I dropped out of school is because aside from my wife, everybody else there was a gay nigger. So, and I know it's much worse now.
Sorry, got Joao Vitor Stein. Dimes tries to use permutations, failed at the second round. Okay. Pragmatic culture. Zoomer dating is fugged. They're either getting loads of gash or incels and no in between. That seems to be closer to the case.
So everybody's losing is what I get from that, because the guys getting loads of gash are not actually doing family formation. So the entire generation is lost effectively. The goal is not to get loads. I'm sorry to bust the illusion for some guys. The goal is not to get loads of gash. Let me tell you, as on the other side of the hill here, the goal is to form a fucking family. You're going to be so mad at yourself if you do not form a family. You are so lucky if you can find somebody worth marrying in your 20s. And maybe you're going to divorce her and it's going to be a nightmare. But you're going to fucking try it, or you're going to rue the day.
If you do it right, even the divorce will be a celebration, right? Because even if you do, I always heard from people when they do get divorced, you hear that they get divorced and you say you're sorry. And they would say, well, don't feel sorry. We're happy now, right? So you're happy when you get married. You love this person. You're also happy when you get divorced. There's only a little bit of time where you're not happy, but it's bookended by extreme happiness. Nice. And that's why I try and communicate with people, because people talk about family formation. It's very easy to sound stuffy about it, or political, or ideological.
Hey.
Like, this is what you have to do to save the species, the race, whatever. And I just want to express to people, it is fun. it's the most fun you're going to have. That gets lost, especially with women, when you try and communicate okay, we're trying to fix the birth rate. Yes. And you said, it's your womanly duty. Duty doesn't work on people that much, but what does work on them is saying how fun and interesting and cool it is. Because being a mother is really fucking cool. And it's also a status. You can look down on single women now. What woman does that not appeal to? But I'm like, just if you take anything from our discussions on like marriage and children and stuff, I'm like, you're gonna wish you did it earlier. Every single person who does it says they wish they did it earlier. That's what every old person you meet who doesn't have kids says they would trade anything to have them. So like, just keep those two things in mind.
Volpes Persona says it's like grouse hunting, which I think is actually a pretty good analogy for a boomer. which is that people give you all kinds of advice and you watch all kind of tutorials and none of them actually make sense because your environment where you're going to find grouse is totally localized and you're only going to figure it out by just trying it and failing days, weeks, months, years until finally you get one. You're like, fuck, look, a grouse.
Well, no,
finally.
this
and then the joy of actually finding one, and then you actually got to hit it. You got to shoot it and actually hit it.
Well, this is actually what I was trying to get at, where it's like, approach women everywhere because you're going to fail. But eventually, because a lot of some guys, I'm like, what were they going to say? They're going to get annoyed at me. I'm like, sure, maybe she calls the cops. I tend to think a lot of that's overblown as long as you don't approach it like a sociopath. They don't just make your hands into straight daggers and lunge at her breasts. But if you can just actually start a conversation and maybe fuck it up, but you get better at it and that thing stops being scary to you. And then eventually you can, like you said, you're grouse hunting, you're trying and failing. And, what works against guys the most, I think, is they have a type of woman that's just bad for them. Like I've seen that happen too, where it's like, I can't meet a girl. Well, what's your type? It's like moody art hoe. Well, there's your problem. You think a moody art hoe isn't going to ruin your fucking life? You know what I mean? Just like you say to women, like, what's your type? It's like rapist. I say, well, okay, maybe you should find a different type of guy because you might end up in a suitcase. It's like, I know, but got to play to win. But it's like, if you actually have a sense, and you kind of don't get there until you start dating women, and then you notice, oh, I thought I liked this type. Turns out they're crazy. I dated a redhead. That didn't go too well. Learned a lesson there. You start dating certain looks, and then you're going to get like a whole phenotype superpower where you can just look at a woman in her eyes and say, okay, you're trouble. I'm not going after you anymore. And then, but you only get there by trying and failing, and it sucks. But then I don't know what the answer would be because Tinder and online dating and whatever the fuck, that seems like a horror show. But then what, die? I don't know. Just, wash your genitals until you die alone. I'm just trying to think of what a solution is.
No experience with the online dating thing, but zero experience with it. However, from the outside, I can't imagine how it wouldn't just be a big filter. Like the sort of people that, and again, not to get laid, but to actually find a wife, the sort of people who would be worth marrying probably aren't picking up the phone on random dudes who are on this app. Do you know what I mean? What are the chances that you're going to find an actual good wife on that app? I think it's close to zero. And I'm not saying nobody's ever found a good wife there, but it doesn't seem to fit the type of women you say you're looking for.
I think you would have a better chance dating a stripper.
Really?
Like on Tinder, everyone's a whore. With a stripper, maybe you caught someone on their first night. You know what I mean? And maybe she's bad at it. It's like, I can get you before you've been pimped out. But I think everyone on Tinder is just sucking and fucking. So, I've seen some horrendous profiles, by the way. That's what you do when you're married. You just see what people are up to. It's like, oh man, they have whole new types of whores now. They didn't have these when I was young. Mm-hmm. They were off in the shadows or something. Now they're just out and about. Do you know what they have now these days? We're like two old fucking faggots over here. It's like, do you see what they just came out with? It's bitches with tattoos on the back of their thighs, but it's like lace. It's like lace tattoos. Like they're a dark American McGee twisted doll.
That's awful.
We didn't have that.
Yeah.
We didn't have that type of bitch.
I went to my kids like PTA thing today, and one of the teachers is like a barrel-bodied, blue-haired woman, and she has the tattoos, millions of little tattoos from her ankle all the way up to her thigh. And I remember, because I'm such a boomer, I remember being told that you couldn't get a tattoo because you'd never get a job, certainly not an institutional job for the government.
Look, I said this on a previous episode. I'm seeing just regular people and regular women with face tattoos, and it ends up in the face because it's crept up the neck and around the ears, and then it just broaches the hairline. And I'm like, I need to update some things. I'm looking at this anthropological. Like I've never encountered you before. Like, what are you into? Do you watch Rick and Morty? Like, you're a woman. Do you watch The Wire? Like what do you fucking do?
Crime.
Like, are you just like every other bitch and you just listen to like serial killer romance?
Yep.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. That is the answer. I don't know what I'm trying to overthink this shit. So what do you watch, Miss? Oh, it's the same shit you all watch? Okay. Got it. Real Mormon Housewives? Oh, you. Okay, sure. Yeah. Volvus Personas, my type in the past was Mishlings and anxious attached co-ethnics. I'm sure this says something about me. Unflattering. Everyone's got a bad type, too. 'Cause, this is why women with borderline personality disorder are so dangerous, because they just become whatever you want, right? They're psychos. So they like get into you, they get into your mind and create the perfect idealized woman for you. And then they eventually deconstruct you with that later. It's a lot. Some guys don't make it out of that alive. But so sometimes even having a type like that can be dangerous. But I don't know, as I get older, like it's easy to have a very specific type of person when you're young, when you're like a teenager. Like you know exactly what the perfect woman looks like. And then as you get older, I think that criteria changes. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what it's like to date as a divorced person, but I would imagine it's very pragmatic.
Yeah, probably.
Courtship is a magical thing that only happens when you're young, in your late teens, early 20s, when it's like, oh, I'm going to get your number and I'm going to call you, and then I'm going to first date, second date, third date. Should I tell my parents? Should I tell my friends? Is this real? I think it's real. And then two divorced people, the woman's like, she's asking you what type of blowjob you like. First date. What style? She knows, and she's got that.
She's writing it in her BlackBerry.
She's got that beautiful, exhausted look in her eyes. I dig that. I love a tired woman. I'm like, honestly, you get into weird shit when you're older, and it's just I would imagine dealing with these women. It's like, okay, so I'm picking up my kid in 15 minutes. It's the back of my car, and we got to go fast. That's just what happens. And then if you're single and retired, like old people, I can't even imagine. But you hear stories like widows. What's that like? You got pills in the mix. You know what I mean?
Probably.
Do old people role play? Right? They must. What would an old person role play as?
How did we get here? Episode 300. Holy shit.
Like, would they be like movies from when they were young, right? Like weird old silent movies, silent era movies. It's like if you're old enough, you only have Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin.
No, it would be their bizarre interpretation of contemporary media, which they don't understand.
Yeah, they're trying to be young, like all old people. So it's like, oh, he's Batman and she's Harry Potter. They're just not knowing what anything is. just trying to be young with each other. Fucking, I'll be Elon Musk. You'll be JD Vance. You don't even watch the news. You've heard your nephew angry on the phone. Oh man. So I've kept you. It's almost 2.5 hours. I'm sorry. We've really gone over. This has been a nice retrospective. Yeah, so just to give a couple of descriptions, Judas talks about living in China and the role superstition and luck plays in everyday life. China news. Dimes tries to turn into a serious political podcast and gets put on the pay no mind list. I guess I won that one, didn't I? Motherfucker. Talking Iran across 7 episodes. Sorry. Let's see, one last one, episode 6. The Dimes and Juice episode, classic. Talking about QAnon, talking about cryptids, time travel fantasies. Jesus Christ. We got to get new material. Judas makes a subtle Jew joke at the end and is glossed over by Dimes, meaning shill status is confirmed. I wrote this, by the way, so this is me disappointed in myself.
You catch the joke afterwards and have to include it.
Yeah.
Many such cases. Thank you.
But anyway, yeah, it's just I guess I was stunned by how we haven't. I used to think, oh man, we would have been way more shit lib coded. We would be a lot softer. I don't think so. Maybe it's because we came at this. We didn't start when we were 15, right? But
No.
I was thinking about that the other day too. Like, I would think back to my early 20s. Like, oh man, I must have been. I wasn't like how I was now, but I remember, if anything, being worse. I remember calling people gay, as you know what I mean. Like it's not something you adopted later on to try and fit in somewhere. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I think both of us, we became. I would say we were almost as radical as we are now. Maybe 4 or 5 years before we started the show. Like before I even moved to Hong Kong, I was already on this route. But I was more of an ANCAP. But by the time I got to Hong Kong and was living in a non-white society, then it kind of pushed it over the edge for me. So
yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to let you go now. This has been I really had a lot of sex with
dude, it was good.
Goy satellite. Yeah, honestly. You know, for how milquetoast we might have been, didn't help us get funding, didn't help us. The real Peter Thiel never came knocking. I was hearing stories that Peter Thiel, by the way, was funding projects like a decade ago in the right-wing space.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time.
I was surprised by, and he's just funding any old thing. Like I'm here, the stories are coming out now, and you have to imagine how widespread it is now. But he was like Jeffrey Epstein, probably in more ways than one. But he would just spend money on like art galleries, like bullshit. Just like, oh, you have a zine. Here's Peter Thiel giving you like not $1 million, but he's got his fingers in a lot of these pies, among other things. And I don't know, like that, just understanding how far back this goes and how many people he would have actually given money to within this dissident sphere. I don't know, just it's wild to me. Yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for taking the time. I had a great time tonight. And I best job I ever had.
Yeah, dude, for real.